The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to a practice edition of the Garden Report, a big practice here for the Celtics, heading into a busy week of games. Next week, they start on Sunday against the 76ers at the Garden. Then they head down to New York and Philadelphia for a pair of road exhibitions. So there won't be a ton of practice time next week. They're back here on Saturday for a walkthrough, I'm sure, that we'll get to talk to a few guys after and take a look at. But this was that first, or last rather, big full go practice to cap a week of double sessions and scrimmaging and pretty intense, driven, focused sessions here. Now, they're not super loud. We can't watch them, of course, so we've mostly just listened in to them pumping in the noise, and you'll hear the typical communicating on the floor from up above that you would that you would normally hear at a practice, rather. So, as I've said all week, the biggest thing I'm taking away from practice here are those missing voices from a year ago. And it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, it's just different. There are a lot of new voices here, acclamations going on, and this roster as a whole isn't the loudest roster. Now, the guy who's filling that space so far here, Paul Pierce, around this team again, and what a joy to watch him out there doing shooting competitions with Sam Cassell, him out there joking around with Tatum and the rest of this team's core, Joe Mazzulla in the mix with those guys as well. Jason Tatum today said Sam Cassell is the loudest person he's ever met. Here's him talking about his new assistant coach.
It's like having Sam Cassell and Charles Lee here, plus a former team of the years in Emile Jefferson.
It's been great. Charles is, a great guy, very, very smart. Sam Cassell, it's always great to have a former player. He talks more than anybody I ever met in my life.
More than Grant?
For sure. But Sam is great. He got full of energy every day, and he also has a ton of stories. And then Emile, obviously that's like, one of my best friends, and we've known each other for 8 years now, so, it's just cool to be back on the same team, from Duke, and to see him, make that transition. It was great. We got a great staff, we got great people.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose.
So, you love that they're finding ways to inject some energy here. If you go over to the Celtics All Access page, we have a great highlight tape of the shooting contest that Eddie House, now an NBC Sports Boston commentator, Pierce, Cassell, and a couple other assistants went through here. Just constant trash talk, expletives flying around everywhere. This real energy that I think is going to be infectious if it's around this team enough. Now, Pierce talked to us today as well about both the summer sessions that he did with Brown and Tatum, them trying to get stronger, them working on their games, him telling them some stories about what worked and might have worked with that 2008 team on their way to a championship. But he also talked about how this is a different process this team's gone through. They've gone deep in the playoffs and fallen short. He feels that hunger given those shortcomings over the last couple of years here, whereas the 2008 team pretty much came together in a day and got it done. They struggled at points in that postseason, but in an improbable fashion clicked enough in that first season together that they scored their championship in 2008 right away. That's different, he said, than what he sees this team struggling through, going through. And he does expect to be along for the ride, even on some road games. You wonder if he's almost going to be a de facto coach this year, Paul Pierce, which I know is going to thrill a ton of fans out there. And I think his presence is welcomed by the star of this team, given his pedigree, given that he was one of the best players in the league when they were watching growing up. So he's been an enormous presence so far. Cassell hasn't left Tatum's side in the sessions that we've seen here. And as I've talked about throughout, Joe a lot more comfortable and empowered by having these guys in his corner, having the new assistant coaches in place, it's definitely a more professional, business-like atmosphere, as I talked about yesterday with Joe Sway here. Other notes, zone defense, a real thing. Joe Mazzulla looking for those curveballs. Curious if we're going to see that on Sunday against the Sixers after they tried it in Summer League here, but it's still a process of getting comfortable with it for these guys. And other things that they might throw in as wrinkles this year, same thing. Can these guys be comfortable using it? And Jordan Walsh, who we talked to today as well, says he's currently getting his reps with the two-way guys. So still an uphill battle, it seems like, for him to get minutes here. But that's all for today at practice. I'm Buddy Man. This has been a practice edition of the Garden Report, and we'll see you back here on Saturday at the Auerbach Center.
With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Head to factormeals.com/newsfeed50 and use code newsfeed50 to get 50% off. That's code newsfeed50 at factormeals.com/newsfeed50 to get 50% off. Ever wish you could navigate the betting field with the confidence of a pro? Enter Odds Are. They're not a sports book, but they're the sports betting advisor you always needed. It's like having a playbook for smarter bets right in your pocket. I've been absolutely loving the experience, and I think you will too, especially since Celtics All Access listeners get a 30-day free trial. Elevate your game day and join the smart betting revolution. Go get it at oddsr.com/Celtics. That's oddsr.com/Celtics.